Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley. This week's recording is going to be hosted by me, Sviat Kushirov. I am a director with our club, and it's going to take a little bit of a different format. We're going to be talking about our Rotary Club's mini grants. So first of all, welcome once again to our program for this week. As you know, every week we bring you an inspirational program focused on innovation, entrepreneurship, and education. This week, we have two of our club members who are going to be on a panel discussion here with me. They're Heather Shaw and Andrew Taw. I'll pass it on to them just to briefly introduce themselves, and then we'll get started. So, Heather?
I'm Heather Shaw, and I'm a chiropractor in Santa Clara. I've been a member for a couple years now.
Awesome. Thank you. Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew. I am an educator based in Oakland and also the member of this eClub and going to be president next year.
Very important role. So Andrew is indeed our president-elect, and you're currently secretary, right?
Oh, no, Raquel is secretary.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Mixing it up a little. So as I mentioned, the topic of our recording or our program for this week is actually our club's mini grants. It's a very interesting program that we have been running for about a year now, but yet it doesn't seem like there's too much awareness around it, and we figured why not have a program dedicated to our club's mini grants. So what we're going to do today is I'll just briefly introduce the program, and then we'll go into a panel discussion where Heather and Andrew will tell us a bit more about some grants that they were able to secure. So with that, let me just tell you about what mini grants are. So just like any other Rotary Club, we always look for opportunities to make further difference in our communities. And our Rotary Club decided to start a mini grant program, which essentially allows any member of our club to apply for a grant of $250, which is to be matched by another organization, so another $250, and to be applied to a recipient organization, the total $500. So it's a very easy and simple process of applying for this grant. And again, all members of our club are actually eligible to apply for that. There's just 3 requirements here. So the first requirement is that the project that you want to apply that grant towards needs to fit with one of our club's focus areas. So those, as you know, are innovation, entrepreneurship, and education. So it needs to fit with at least one of those focus areas. Secondly, you as the applicant need to identify a matching organization. So most frequently that would be another Rotary Club, or it could also be another nonprofit or individuals who are not directly the recipient organization, part of the recipient organization. And then the third requirement is, of course, filling out an application form. Now, that form is actually pretty easy to fill out and very quick. And I want to actually show you here a little bit about what this involves. So let me just share my screen quickly. Desktop. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so this here is the application form, and we'll include a link to that at the bottom of this recording on the program page. But essentially, it's an online form. It's very easy and simple to fill out. You just need to provide some information about yourself, brief information about the project itself. Again, what I mentioned here, this key requirement here is that the project needs to fit within one of our focus areas, so innovation, entrepreneurship, or education. then you need to provide some information about this partner club. Again, this is the organization that provides the match. So the other $250, the benefiting organization, some information about that, and then just a breakdown on what the money will be used for. As you see, very simple and easy to do. We'll talk about how long it took these guys to complete it, but it should be fairly fast, I imagine. So this is sort of a brief overview of what our mini grant program is about. And the reason we have Heather and Andrew on this panel today is because they're the two members of our club who have taken advantage of this program already. So Heather actually was the first one to do that, and the recipient organization for her grant was Scott Lane Elementary School. And Andrew applied for a grant a few months later, and the recipient organization for his grant was Laptops for Good. So what I'd like to do now is maybe starting with Heather, see if you can just give us a brief overview of the project that you were able to apply that grant towards, how things turned out, and then Andrew, maybe you can tell us a bit more about that. So maybe tell us about the organization and the project itself.
So, like you said, the elementary school I dealt with was Scott Lane Elementary, and they have 79% of their students have receive free or reduced lunch. So they're a very needy school. So every year, so even before this, for the last 14 years, I've been doing like a school supply drive for local schools. It all started out when one of the local schools had a major fire and lost all its science wing, and it kind of just started me thinking, how could I help? It was right down the block for me. And so we just, I started asking my patients to, see if we could help out. And so in exchange for school supplies, I would donate services. And so, it became a big thing, and the patients actually loved doing it because they got to go shopping for little kids that they normally wouldn't. And so it turned out to be a fun event for everybody. And so when, I found out about Scott Lane being the local needy school, that some of the kids didn't even have shoes to wear and things like that. So the last few years we kind of focused on them. So that's where, just an overview, right, of what.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Heather. Andrew?
So the project that the mini grant benefited was a project that I started a couple years ago to provide laptops for low-income high school students as they were transitioning into college. Because I found out that a lot of my students, as they were graduating high school, really either had limited access to computers or were using what limited financial aid that they had on a computer on the first year, which is the most difficult in college. And so I started that and managed to give out 3 laptops in the first year, and because I got to take advantage of the mini grant this last year for the class of 2017, was able to give out 4, which was really, really great.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you for that intro there. Now, how I know you spoke about this a little bit, but how did you decide to pick that organization in particular? So, Heather, in your case, the school. I know you mentioned that you saw that it was one of the most needy schools in your area, but was there a different reason? And then, Andrew, if you can tell us a bit more about that. Out of all the projects that you're involved with, why did you pick Laptops for Good? So let's start with Heather again.
Actually, I became aware of, we were using, initially we were dealing with this middle school down the road that had the fire. And I had done that for 10 years. And then actually Rushton's wife was very involved in the Santa Clara County school. And she said there's another school that actually, has a bigger need. And so we contacted them and found out about, what percentage, of them were really in need. And it was a much, pretty high percentage that, just to even have school lunch provided for was, so that's kind of where we directed. And it was kind of interesting because as we contacted them, they were much more involved in, wanting to help out with the whole process, where the other school was just like, I'll take your stuff. But this one was like, they wanted to actually help to kind of like make this a bigger event, so that they could get more supplies and stuff like that. So that's kind of how we were zooming in on them now at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And Andrew?
So for the mini grant, it was because there is no 501c3 requirement for the mini grant, which is very, very rare in looking for money for projects. And I think that's actually one of the major advantages to it, because just about every grant I've ever found requires that designation. And if you have a project that is fairly small or really hasn't like grown to a point where you need to form a board or something like that, it's a really useful tool for our members, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes you find yourself wanting to help an organization that maybe isn't large enough to have that kind of designation, so that becomes tricky. Okay, cool. So can you both speak a little bit about the organization that provided the match? So I know, Heather, in your case, it was another Rotary Club, and Andrew, yours was a bit different. So Heather, tell us a bit about the organization that provided the match, that Rotary Club, and then how did you find them? How did that work out?
So actually, it was Santa Clara Rotary Club, and Rushton was kind of like my co-chair kind of thing. He was helping me out with doing this application process, and he knew the people at Santa Clara Rotary, basically. I'll just ask them, and so that's how we got connected with them. And they had actually been previously had done some donation to that school in different years, so they were very familiar with the school we were working with.
Okay, perfect. Wow,
yeah.
Very nice. Was that a pretty quick process? Like, did you have to go and present to them about anything, or did you just talk to somebody on the phone? Or?
No, actually, Rushton just sent an email and they said yes.
Oh, okay, there you go. Perfect.
That was very easy.
Yeah. Andrew, tell us a bit about how you went about the process of finding people to help secure that match.
Yeah, so instead of looking for an organization, I actually ended up kind of offering it up as a matching donation opportunity. So basically went to friends, family, and said, for those of you who listen to NPR in the States, this would sound very familiar, but like, when you give $1, it'll be matched dollar for dollar by by our club, up to $250 and things like that. And actually, it was great because it encouraged more donations than I saw in the previous year, and so it had this like interesting side effect too.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a very creative approach to it as well. So again, as a reminder to those watching the recording, the mini grant itself is up to $250, and there's a requirement to have a match for the exact amount that's being donated by another organization. So way to go, guys, for being able to identify that quickly, and in creative ways there, using networking or just offering it up as a matching donation in the case of Andrew there. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the application process itself? So I went through the form earlier in the recording here, but tell us what that was like to you. Did you have any questions when you were filling this out? Like, how long did it take you? Do you think we can make that process a little bit better? Or what are your thoughts on this?
So the application I didn't think was that difficult at all. Mine kind of evolved as it makes you think, a little bit, the application, because you have to look at it from different angles, but it's still pretty easy to do. But because mine evolved, like initially I thought, okay, well, it's all about donation of school supplies or things for the teachers. And as Rushton and I discussed it, he was like, well, let's see what they actually want. And so they wanted Chromebooks, and so, but as we kind of talked to them about it, how that would work, like, would you hand it out to these younger kids? They're only elementary school. And then as we spoke with them, that we found out that, a lot of the kids didn't even have like internet service at their house. So it kind of wouldn't be that useful for them. And so what they actually just said they wanted for security reasons is to have like walkie-talkies for their crossing guards in case there's any issues, for safety concerns and stuff like that, or if they needed an ambulance or anything like that. So they wanted all their people equipped with walkie-talkies, and that's actually what the grant went to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but the application was pretty easy.
Nice. Well, that's good to hear. Do you know, like, how long would you say it took you to fill it out once you had all the things in order in your head and you knew how you wanted to present it?
Half hour. It wasn't that, because I had already done this for a number of years, so I kind of had the process already done previously, and so yeah, it wasn't bad.
Okay. Well, see, that's why I'm interested in getting that kind of feedback, because I know, so both you and Andrew are experienced grant writers, it seems like. So
that
Andrew,
was the first grant for me.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Well, Andrew, tell us a bit about what you taught. How was that compared to other, grant writing applications?
So yeah, I do regularly write grants, and this was by far the easiest one. In a lot of metrics, I think as far as like how long it took me, about the same. I think it was about 30 minutes. Like it's broken down in questions in the form, and so if I were to take like all the text and kind of put it all together, it kind of was just several paragraphs. That was about it. And it was great. It was super easy.
Yeah. Well, this is good to hear. Again, the objective with this mini grants is not to just add a lot of additional to require a lot of time out of the busy schedules that all of our members have, but just to give you all an opportunity to spend 30 minutes and be able to secure some additional funding to worthy organizations. So why don't we talk a little bit about the results? So the end results of that grant. So you filled out the application, you got the $250 from our club, you were able to secure a match from another organization, or in Andrew's case, from a group of people. And the benefiting organization received $500. Now, what did they do with the $500, and what was the end results in the lives of the students in both cases here in terms of the benefit that it provided? So Heather?
So So yeah, basically it did go towards walkie-talkies, and what I found as a benefit for internal to my house, my clinic here, was because Rotary was involved. People thought, oh, this is kind of more official now. Like they had more like oh, this is bigger than just a little kind of like clinic donating. And so we actually had like 450 pounds of school supplies we donated, and $1,000 in actual patient giving. So besides the 500 that, and that went towards the actual school supplies that they needed. The other went towards just providing walkie-talkies to all their crossing guards and things like that. So I don't have an actual number of how many walkie-talkies were bought. I did try and contact the person that was my go-to person, and she's on maternity leave, and so I've been trying to track her down for several weeks now, and I couldn't even get an actual number of walkie-talkies, but I could find out.
That's all right. As long as it was beneficial to the school, that's the main objective here, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like it. So it's helping improve the security there. So that's really good to hear. Okay, awesome. Andrew, tell us about Laptops for Good and the impact that mini grant had there.
Yeah. So I'll share a picture really fast. I'm gonna attempt to screen share.
Yep, I can see it.
So in the previous year, we gave about 3 Chromebooks. And this last year, because of the mini grant and supplementing the individual contributions, I was able to give about 4, and that 4 actually went to the man on the upper right, named Devante, and he was just really great, like all the years. He's actually one of my students, and he is currently in a college local here, and studying. It's like exercise biology, basically. He was a big aficionado of football, and would actually injure himself every once in a while. And I think that's part of how he ended up like being interested in
Wow. So the technology is already contributing to the way that these guys are experiencing school and the different subject areas that they're interested in. That's really good to hear. Awesome. Cool. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad that in both cases here, it seems like the mini grant was able to make an impact in the benefiting organization. Now, before we start wrapping up, just quickly, do you guys have any, having gone through the entire process here, from the application to the way through the end, do you have any ideas on how we can improve this process, what we can do to advertise it better to our members so more know of it and are likely to want to apply for this mini grant?
I would just say for me, because I hadn't done any grants before, I was a little intimidated and really wasn't considering it, because I thought it was going to be painful.
Yeah.
And that it would be like this, long-term, thing to kind of deal with. But like I said, Russian encouraged me, and he's like, "I'll be there for you," and then and then because I thought my project's a little project, it's not that big a deal, but if anybody has anything that, that is close to their hearts that people could benefit, there's money waiting for you out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
just gotta, step up, and it's easy and it's worth it.
Yeah. And in true Rotary fashion, there's people to help you. So whether Rushton or me or someone else.
Yes.
Thanks, Heather. Andrew?
I think it's a really great opportunity to potentially partner with other clubs. Like I love that for Heather, more money was just like the barrier between her and more money was an email. And I think that's just kind of wonderful. And I think like for us, for an eClub, we have the special benefit of being almost within the boundaries of multiple clubs all over the world. So it's like for our members who are living just about everywhere, it's a matter of kind of phoning or emailing one of their local clubs to see if there's something that they could do to help. And I think that's a really cool benefit in the sense that you can get the match, but also to just work with another club. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity to meet some great people too. As far as what we might be able to do to kind of improve it or help kind of make this more accessible for more of our members, I think if you and I'm kind of speaking to the members at the moment, like if you're at all interested in possibly starting a project, or you're currently working on a project and you would like more resources for it, I think great first step is toss a comment in the discus. If your comments are more along the lines of like, I have a project and would love to figure out how to make this mini grant work, like any one of us on this call can totally just kind of reach out to you and walk you through the process or give you a little bit of like what we've worked through. And if it's more of a, like, I don't have an idea for a project yet, but I would really love to start something, we could just take everyone who says that in the comments. We'll throw each other into a Zoom conference just like this one, and we'll brainstorm a project, and the rest of us will kind of be like a support group for what's frankly a very easy process.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like any ideas you have to do some more service, throw it into the comments.
Yeah, that's a very, very good idea, actually, Andrew. Thank you for that. So I hope people do end up tossing some ideas and suggestions in the discuss comment section at the bottom there. Okay, so let's start wrapping up here. So in a moment, Heather and Andrew, I'm going to give you an opportunity to just share a final word. But before that, I just want to thank everybody for being with us this week. I hope you enjoyed the program. Make sure that you fill out the attendance survey that's as part of this program. So scroll down on the program page and do that. And like Andrew mentioned, please put in a comment at the bottom as well and let us know what you thought about this week's program. But more importantly, let us know if you have any ideas about projects that might be good candidates for our mini grant program. We actually have budgeted for 3 mini grants per year. And again, those are $250 each. And with the matching grant from another organization, that is $500 that could go to a benefiting organization of your choice. So, so keep that in mind, and I hope you really take advantage of it. So with that, I'll toss it over to Heather again.
All right, so like I said, it's an easy process. I'm the biggest chicken about these things, so So if I can do it, and if you have a passion about something that you can really help some other people in the world to, you know, live a better life or anything, it's worth the stretching yourself a little bit to kind of do this. So
That's
good
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Well, I don't think Heather is a chicken at all. The sheer volume that she's managed to give through her school drive. I guess ultimately this is just a very rare opportunity for a project that that doesn't have a 501c3 designation, and it's a really great opportunity to partner with other orgs, other Rotary clubs potentially, or just a bunch of your donors. And so it's, yeah, I think it's in both the social and the kind of like nitty gritty. It's just a great opportunity to take advantage of.
Nice. Well said. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everyone, and we'll see you next week.